Hi everybody. Another question caregivers are asking is, how on earth did this or that happen? In this video, I'm going to talk about the law of unintended consequences. In this video post, there is a link to an article on my website that talks about the unintended consequences of chronic disease. But we are going to talk about, I'm looking for my mask, the unintended consequences about the coronavirus. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. My website is PamelaDWilson.com. On there, lots of helpful information for caregivers and aging adults. So how do things happen that we don't expect? Sometimes, like being a caregiver, they just sneak up on us. All of a sudden, overnight, a parent experiences an accident, hip fracture, heart attack, and we are that caregiver. Our life changed from one day to the next. These happen because of unexpected events, and sometimes these events that happen have these unintended consequences. Sometimes it's a benefit, sometimes things are so much better, other times there are some drawbacks, and sometimes the problem gets worse. So let's talk about the coronavirus and the choices and the alternatives that we have all had for the past 6 months. Early on, they were saying, masks are okay, you don't need to wear them. Here in Colorado today, we have a mandatory mask order so that if we ever are out in public or even walking in the hallways of an office building, and in some cases, even inside an office in the workplace, masks are mandatory. The research now proves that wearing a mask prevents you from getting or giving the coronavirus anywhere from 50 to 75%. That simple act of wearing a mask, that is amazing. So when we think about it, and unexpected situations, sometimes we can't control what comes at us, but we can control what we put out. So with respect to the coronavirus, wearing a mask is definitely a good idea, but it's still a personal choice. A lot of states have not made wearing a mask mandatory. Countries in Europe have. They are a lot further along than we are. So the question is, in situations that can cause really adverse effects, is giving choice to the public a good idea, or should things be mandated because consumers can't imagine how their action or inaction can cause something to get worse or can cause something to get better? Part of the reason that I think we have been given a lot of choices is that lawmakers don't want to be seen as being too controlling. They don't want to make a recommendation and then have it go wrong and then be blamed for it later. We sometimes fail to account for human nature. Let's face it, here in the United States, we are spoiled. We want everything now. We want it our way. We're used to having our freedoms. Making people wear a mask could cause all kinds of unintended consequences. So what we want to look at as caregivers, as individuals, as people, is how do our actions today affect our short-term and our long-term interests? And let's just talk about health. Chronic disease is a huge problem. Chronic disease makes individuals more susceptible to the coronavirus and other health issues. Our elderly parents. We see today how them taking care of themselves or not taking care of themselves resulted in the health issues and the struggles that they are having today. We as that caregiver have a choice to protect ourselves from the law of unintended consequences. Be very intentional about your health, your well-being, your lifestyle, and how you take care of yourself today. And 10, 20, 30 years into the future, you can reap the actions of those benefits. But a lot of people say, well, 10, 20 years, it's so far off. Trust me, it will get here before you know it. Ask any older adult about how quickly time passes the older that you get. Couple of examples of unintended consequences, and I'll use one that does relate to caregiving, and it is the Rehospitalization Act. So the government thought that it would be a great idea to penalize hospitals for poor care. So for older adults who go into the hospital and they have chronic diseases, heart disease, hip fractures that are repaired, knee replacements, COPD, breathing issues. Government thought, wow, let's just penalize hospitals if older adults go in and they come back within 30 days. Law of unintended consequences. Little did they realize that hospitals would find a way around being financially penalized. Hospitals now, if you're an older adult and you have one of those conditions, they don't want to admit you, because if they admit you, they can receive a financial penalty. Instead, they send you back home to deal with it yourself, so that they don't want you coming back to the hospital. They don't want you not being responsible for your health, because they know that given the choice, consumers probably will not take action to resolve their health issues. It's proven we're not a prevention society because we are not taught that in grade school, in middle school, in college, and beyond. And we should. That's my opinion. I am Pamela D. Wilson. My website is PamelaDWilson.com. Check out the article in this video post about the law of unintended consequences about chronic disease. Have a fabulous day today. I'll see you again tomorrow in another video.